The clock is ticking away for many of us to make our selections for our health care coverage for the coming year. Medicare annual enrollment ends on December 7th, and it seems like a very complex and overwhelming process. So I'm joined by Danyel Dicicco. She is a licensed insurance agent, and Lacey Flowers. She is with RBF Capital Management and Retirement Solutions to help answer some common Medicare questions that are still very, very complicated to people like me. And sometimes, guys, it's just hard to know where to start. So if I come to you and I sit down and say, what Medicare coverage, supplement coverage, or advantage do I need? What are some of the strategies that you will have to deal with and answer those questions?
Well, it's all going to be based on you specifically. It is very, very individualized as far as Medicare goes. So we're going to look at you as a person, you know, some of the things that you do, your health history, you know, because when you first get on Medicare for the first time at 65, that is the one opportunity you have to get any medical coverage you want without having to answer any medical questions. So when we come upon open enrollment like this, people say, oh, I can change next year, or I'm going to change. If you have a supplement policy like you do, right, you can't change every year. You have to medically qualify after 65 and a half, and a lot of people just don't understand that that is the case. When we watch the television and we see all these commercials, we see the open enrollment, you can change.
Yes.
They are correct on an Advantage plan. They cannot ask you any medical questions when you want to change plans every year. That's not the case with supplements, though, and people get confused. They don't understand that it is different.
I've been on Medicare 20 years. I didn't know that. And there are a lot of changes coming up this year, right?
Yep, as every year, the drug plans, as you know, the drug plans are a big one. They constantly change.
Yes, as you get older, they're more and more important. So what changes are coming up?
Well, every year with the drug changes, they'll change their tiers, they'll change their negotiations with the pharmacies, they can change the cost of their plans. So when we're looking at open enrollment time, we are wanting to run your prescriptions every year to make sure that you are on the right plan, because we don't have a crystal ball and we can't tell, right? So we're doing the best with what we have then to make sure that we are getting the most out of our Part D drug plan. And the variation of the premiums can go anywhere from $8 to over $170 a month.
Oh my goodness.
That's why it's so important you have somebody looking at that to make sure that you're in the right spot.
Oh yes. Now, what if I've been on Medicare disability prior to age 65? How does that work?
Yes, so prior to age 65, if you are already on disability, it's going to be deducted every month from your Social Security. And then going forward, if you choose to not be on Social Security, you're going to pay quarterly in advance.
And if I am not on Social Security and I'm over 65, how do I pay then? They usually take it out of your Social Security, I see.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting Social Security, how do you pay?
If you're not taking Social Security, the government will bill you quarterly in advance. So for like this year, 2022, the monthly Part B premium starts at $170.10. So a lot of people get shocked because we want to prepare them for this and say, listen, not taking Social Security, you're going to get a bill for $510.30. And they go, what? Yes. So those are just little pitfalls that really need to be explained, and there are ways to mitigate that, where they have put in place certain bigger banking institutions. You can do an auto draft, and it will be monthly instead of that big quarterly chunk. And Social Security, Medicare have now put an automatic billing form on their website that you can download and fill in to have it taken monthly instead of quarterly, but they don't really like to share that information.
Yeah, it is so complicated. And I keep thinking, I'm not a real dumb person, but I could not walk through this without help. And you know what people my age say to is, I want to sit down with a real person.
Yes.
I don't want a person on a phone or a person on a computer. And you guys do really sit down with them in person.
Yes, absolutely. We sit down with all of our clients. Our phones are on 24 hours a day. We get calls and texts of panicking for one reason or another. I forgot my card, I'm at the doctor's, or, you know, I get calls all the time from clients, I got a new prescription, what do I do?
Oh, yes, yes.
That's a big one because we don't know if that prescription is going to be really expensive or if it's just going to be one of those generics. And we have to kind of pivot in a certain direction if it's one of those ones that's very expensive, and we help them find alternative ways to save on those drugs as well. So when you have a real person to work with, it's so important because you are holding them accountable, right? Whereas when we call on the phone and we get customer service someplace, we all get frustrated, right? And we're promised the world, and then we're never able to talk to that person again.
Right.
By having somebody that you are face to face with, that you have that accountability, and you're going to be in, I think, better hands.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Thank you guys so much. And for more information, you can head over to rbfretirementsolutions.com. We'll be right back.